Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I do have a new microphone, so I am getting used to this. This is for using Dragon dictation software on the computer where you can literally talk into a microphone and it will type things out for you. This is some really powerful software for people who are interested in capturing words via audio and having them printed out instead of there's multiple different projects I'm working on right now, ebooks, manuscripts, etc. And with this old laptop, I do not like sitting here on the keyboard. So that's some really interesting software. If any of you guys have ever, been writing something or working on a project and asked yourself, "Damn, I wish I could just speak into the computer and it would type it out for me," there is software that can do that. So again, that's called Dragon Speak Naturally. And you can get it fairly cheap on the internet or at electronics stores. But, I've got my little cat down here, my new kitten, hanging out with me. Let's see if we can get a zoom in. Kitty. Hi. Hi. He's a little on the tired side. He has had a long week, so to speak. But a lot of things to talk about. I do have a little bit of distilled water here. This is store-bought distilled water. I didn't want to show the brand on the internet because these videos are monetized. But with all distilled water, if I'm buying it from the store, I do like putting it into a glass vessel for at least 20 minutes before I drink it. I didn't do that with this, however, but putting distilled water into glass will help restructure it, especially if you throw in some crystals, like some pieces of amethyst or some pieces of quartz. So I do talk a lot about water on this channel because this body that we live in, that we experience reality in, is composed mainly of water. All of your cells use water to transmit messages between one another within your 100 trillion plus cells. So to me it makes pretty damn good sense that if you want to approach health rationally, you'll realize and grasp the simple philosophy of clean water as a foundational prerequisite towards getting healthy and cleansing. This is pivotal. This is a pivotal aspect of health, if you ask me. And again, this is just my own personal opinion, but in my opinion, it's a pretty damn good opinion. It makes sense to me, and I like things that make sense, because in a world where common sense isn't so common, applying common sense principles can help bring you some really good quality things in relation to your health. Distilled water will make, well, I can't say it will make you feel the way it made me feel, but the first week of getting on distilled water, after drinking tap water my whole life, I felt a massive improvement in the speed of my mind, my mental clarity, and my desire to learn more and more and more. It felt like I was being cleaned from the inside out, and that's exactly, in my opinion, what was happening. I have to say, in my opinion, because I can't say these things, I don't have evidence or proof that this is actually what happened. I don't have proof that the distilled water is what created these symptoms, these positive symptoms, but to me it makes sense, because those were the only things that I was changing in my life. Was, okay, I've drank tap water for over 20 years of my life, and within 1 week of drinking distilled water, I was experiencing massive improvements in many things, in many parts of my life that needed improvement. So I wanted to recommend a few books. I've recommended these books in the past, and some of my faithful and loyal subscribers are probably already familiar with these books, but I do like to touch up on things here and there, because with new videos there's going to be new subscribers, and with new subscribers I'd like this information to get out to them. I would love it if you guys would pick up a copy of the Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1. This is Book 4. There's 4 books in this series, and I do recommend starting off with Book 1 and working your way up until you reached book 4. They're short, they're easy to read. You can read all of them in one day. They're short, but they pack a big punch. Neck is super sore. I slept on my neck wrong last night, and you know how that is. So you can find those on the internet free in PDF form, or even on the internet if you just go in. You can find them in a web browser. I do recommend, however, picking up a hard copy of each one. They are a tad expensive. I got book 1 when it was a penny. Now I see them sometimes upward of $11 or more, and I've even seen book 4 for upwards of $120. So I do like collecting these books, and I love the author. And the Essene Gospel of Peace, for those who don't know, is an account of Jesus Christ, Jesus the Christ, teaching people how to heal their bodies through the art of fasting, through water fasting, and applying enemas. Yes, you heard me, applying enemas. This is an account of Jesus Christ teaching that's a good one, teaching people how to heal their ailments through fasting and applying colon cleansing via enemas. What are you talking about? They didn't have enema bags back then. Just read the book. So this book was a huge motivating factor in me becoming interested in using enemas and applying them to my life. And it seems like each time I read this book, I gain more and more from it. Just like when I read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, or Thoth Hermes, or Tahuti, as many people referred to him. Certain books are just so filled with wisdom that each time you read them, certain books are so filled with wisdom that it's hard to pick it all up at once. So sometimes it takes multiple readings, and each time you read something, you pick something up that's new, and that's how things work, and that's beautiful. And these books are one of my primary forms of study. I've learned so much about fasting from these books, and fasting is one of my favorite things to apply to my life to this date. I've done 6-day fasts, 7-day fasts, 1-day fasts. I fast at least 6 hours a day or more, usually between 6 and 12 hours, or 18. I really don't eat breakfast anymore. I really don't eat lunch. And if I do snack throughout the day, it's a really kind of an uncommon thing at this point. It's become second nature, and to me that's beautiful. To not be bound by, I like to consider it a demon. Because, having to feed and feed and feed all day and all night, it can be really exhausting, mentally and emotionally, especially when you're an intuitive person like me and you're empathic, and you're an empath. Empaths feel enough as it is, and usually 9 times out of 10, empaths are very sensitive to the ingredients in foods, and when they eat, they experience anxiety and all these different pathologies. They don't really know what it's from, but usually a really intuitive empath will eventually put the pieces together and go, okay, I'm experiencing these symptoms after eating these foods or these fluids. And my body is so in tune with my mind at this point in my life where it does bitch slap me now if I eat the wrong foods, even the wrong water. So I'm glad that that's happening. Many people, will never, they're just too desensitized from the emotional surges that their bodies put off through their minds to be able to pick up the signals that it's trying to teach them, or tell them, or transmit to them, so to speak. So I'm very lucky that my body goes out of its way to talk to me, and it's usually not pretty. If I eat the wrong foods, it really does bitch slap me. I'm not joking. I'll get heart palpitations, my hands will start sweating, my palms of my hands, bottom of my feet. I'll feel delirious, and it's all my body saying, hey, at the end of the day, this is what this food's doing to you, man. If it's creating this type of reaction within your body, within the corpus, what's the point of consuming it? And that's one thing. I've learned a lot from listening to my body. I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot because for a long time I didn't listen to my body. It gave me the signals, but I didn't listen, and it humbled me. And I went through some pretty scary shit while I was getting humbled. Near-death experiences, you name it. So I've learned to listen. There's still things I'm working on, man. None of us are perfect, but I guess the moral of this rant is to try to start young instead of, many people don't get their wake-up call until they're on their deathbed, and that's a very scary thing, ladies and gentlemen. Many people don't find value in health until their health is severely compromised. So preventative measures is a huge part of my protocol. To follow my system, it requires you to constantly apply preventative measures through the application of herbalism, fasting, periodic fasting, cyclic fasting, and block fasting, heliotherapy, also known as sun therapy, moon gazing, properly administered sun gazing with your eyes closed. My protocol encompasses a system of utilizing super herbs, super herbal extracts, concentrates, and things like flower essences, aromatherapy, exercise, circulatory herbalism, and a multitude of other things. Cycling is a huge part of my protocol. Cycling with music, probably the most enjoyable form of exercise there is, at least in my opinion, other than some resistance training. But to each his own. I mean, some people like to swim, some people like to hike. I like it all. I just don't really like swimming anymore due to the large amounts of chlorine and all the urine in the pools. It's just the more empathic and intuitive I became, the quicker my reflexes got, and the smarter I became through using herbs, etc. The more I can't even stand the smell of pools anymore. I don't swim in pools. I don't. Not anymore. I haven't in years, actually. It's kind of interesting because I did spend the first half of my life in a pool. I was very into competitive swimming and water polo. You name it. Played water polo in high school and in junior college, and was considering playing it in college, and I believe I could have. But I didn't go the college route. I had other things on my agenda. I began becoming very privy to how evil the system was that we were living in early on. I'm talking 8th grade, freshman year. I always knew, but I really rebelled against the education system. I made it through it. I graduated everything, but I bent the rules and bent the envelope where, I pretty much studied what I wanted to study while doing enough homework, etc., to get passing grades to graduate. I knew it wasn't going to suit me in the long run, and that's based on a handful of shamanic experiences and dream experiences that I had in high school. I was being guided to do something else, and I'm glad I listened. I'm glad I didn't buy into the fear and worry about how I was going to make money 20 years down the road as a fucking 14-year-old freshman or this and that. It's amazing the type of fear that they're programming the youth with nowadays. It's unfortunate. The beast really does work overtime to ensnare people at a young age, because that's when the mind is most fertile. It's acceptable to the impressions of fear. So I talked about that in a recent video, I believe, about how your teachers and many of your loved ones, sometimes they mean what's best. They have your best interest in heart, but they don't really know how they're frightening you into walking a particular path similar to theirs, because that's how they were taught. I hope that makes sense. I really do hope that this microphone isn't picking up a bunch of clicking noises. I really do like this setup. It's comfortable. But our little friend is up. Little man. Little man. Little man. People ask me all the time what I like to do, what supplements I like to use. I experiment with so many different things. I've been heavily experimenting with so many different herbs, so many different herbal extracts, so many different B vitamins, B complexes, different super nutritional properties, or super nutritional supplements, like things like coenzyme Q10, I've done a ton of experimentation with things like activated carbon, also known as activated charcoal, sodium bicarbonate, aka baking soda. I utilize hibiscus. I'll give you guys a little, show you guys. Actually, I'm going to wait on that because I don't have my normal camera set up and I can't walk over there without pulling the microphone and the webcam off the computer. But I have box after box, bags filled with the different things that I'm consuming and the things that I can continue to consume, like the spirulina and the hibiscus. Certain things I've been consuming for years now, and I still consider it an experiment, and I continue to employ new herbs and new superfoods as I learn about them and I read certain studies on them, etc. So, you know, a few of the things that have withstood the test of time for me are cayenne pepper, habanero peppers, anything with capsaicin in it, spirulina, blue-green algae, chlorella, baking soda, activated charcoal, hibiscus, blueberries, bananas in the right amounts. There are a lot of sugar in fruit. There is a lot of sugar in fruits, but if you balance it out properly, it really is a beautiful thing for satiety. It's a beautiful thing for indulgence because it tastes like candy. And in a world where health foods often taste horrible, if you blend foods properly and you add just the right amount of fruit, you can make things taste so good. But it's all about using the right amounts, because it is easy to consume too much fruit because the candida and the fungal networks do feed on it. It's all about balance. A few other things that I love, shilajit. But, you know, aside from all the fasting and the physicality, aside from all the products and all this stuff and herbs, you name it, I love fasting. Fasting is free. As long as you have access to water, most people do. And if you don't have access to water, I mean, you can walk down a bike trail, and fill up a gallon jug of tap water and have yourself some water that you can bless. You can leave it out in the sunlight to kill any pathogens. You can leave it in the windowsill with the lid off and let all the chlorine and certain compounds evaporate overnight. You know, there's always, when there's a will, there's a way, is what I'm getting at. And just because you may be broke on funds and you can't afford this and that doesn't mean that you can't do some really profound shit with your health. Oftentimes it's what you do when you have nothing that makes the most impact. And there's some beauty in that, most definitely. To a large extent, I was tested most when I had a serious lack of funds in my life. I still do. I'm still tight on funds. But I always have exactly what I need. Exactly what I need. And I like living like that. I like having just what I need in the right proportions. I don't need more. And in fact, I like to view life from kind of a less is more perspective. As long as you have what you need, as long as you have your necessities taken care of and you're not miserable, if you have shelter, if you have access to the internet, which to me is that to me is a gift. The internet has helped me massively in my learning more about natural healing, etc. But I'm trying to keep my voice down because there are people sleeping. As long as you have shelter, food, good food, we're not talking junk food. And let me tell you, real food isn't cheap, so you have to learn to want what you need and need what you want and make it happen. And I'm still learning that to a large extent as well. I'm not saying that I'm some fucking new age master manifester, no. In fact, I really don't like the term manifest, and there's so much manifestation bullshit out here in the new age realm. Anyways, I'm ranting, I'm not making sense. I hate having to try to talk quiet on this mic. I'm going to wrap this one up. On behalf of the Sacred Starseed Serpent Uraeus YouTube channel, thank you for watching this video. And I hope this video moved you and inspired you in some way to motivate you to take care of your health today. Peace be with you.